Yeah. I had at least one person comment to me about the lighting at the railroad tracks.
All right. So, welcome everybody to the City Council Business and Community Affairs Committee meeting on Monday, January 9th, 2023. I'm filling in for Councilmember Peacock. He got stuck in Oklahoma City. So, we had two items on our agenda. The first one regarding a presentation from Dan Shem for Visit Norman regarding a proposed increase in the city's guest tax has been removed from our agenda today because of a sickness, and we will see that presentation on a council conference for the full council on January 24th to move that item forward. So look forward to that discussion in a future meeting. So we have one item left on our agenda, a discussion regarding additional funding for holiday lighting. I believe that Councilmember Peacock had a discussion with Jason Olson, our Parks Director, about this, and I'm going to kick it over to him to have give us some more information on this.
Yes, I had a conversation with Councilmember Peacock, and his interest was mainly behind after the Netflix lights came to Main Street. We did see a lot of traffic that came down there, and he was wondering how to replicate that year after year. A lot of our discussion is other towns like Yukon, Ardmore, the Chickasha that do a lot of lighting. He believes that it does spur a lot of economic development, so he asked for me to come up with a few ideas. I did sit down and have a discussion with him. What we presented, and of course we wanted to bring this to a discussion to the whole council, was maybe doing a holiday walking trail down Legacy Trail, where we divided Legacy Trail between City Hall over there, kind of off of Dawes, all the way down to Main Street, where we could possibly divide that up into several segments, go back to our business community and see if our business community would be interested in buying some holiday decorations that would go in there. And of course, along with the business community donation of the holiday lighting, we would of course put it in there. The section is brought to you by XX Business, and so on and so on. We can divide that up into so many sections. We can decide on how many we could fit in there, but once a business does buy that, they would donate it back to the city. Then the city would be responsible for taking that up and putting it down every year. We would prefer, as a Parks Department, if that does come to us, that we would set aside money for a contractor to do that. We already have pretty stretched thin at this time of year putting up other holiday lights, and we would love to expand on those however y'all see fit. We did this year finally get the Netflix lights back. We did put some of those up on Main Street. We don't have the full set, or I don't think we have interest in doing quite the setup of what they did every year. So they did put out a lot of real trees up and down Main Street. They had to close down Main Street for several days to get all those lights put in. So
Netflix did?
yes.
But not you this time.
No, it was us that put up some of the old Netflix lights. We did get a portion of them back. We haven't got the complete set back because the contractor that actually put up the Netflix lights the last time did contact us, and we asked him to put as many lights up as he could, and he only did the trees this year. So we need to get the rest of them back before we pay him for his work, and we're going to go ahead and take those lights off the trees down and keep those in our possession until next year and put them back up.
But you didn't have to close the street this year, did you?
No.
Okay.
No. There's a lot that went into closing the street, because if you remember, they put snowflakes up back and forth on crossing the street, and they had to close down lanes. So we have those in our possession and plan on putting those back up next year on the trees anyways. I don't know how far in depth we want to go and trying to put everything back up, but just wanted to present some ideas of what we could do. We would like to find some rep that we would present to all of the businesses in town where they could possibly buy sections of Legacy Park. We think this would work well, as they could park somewhere, or Legacy Trail, my bad, get the two confused. Thanks, Anthony. just like to get that trail where maybe they can park downtown and walk the trail. And of course, everybody's out of their cars and they would visit all the Main Street businesses that way. And just like to get some input on how you would like us to take this forward, and we can make our budget request after we have these conversations.
Okay. Councilmember Holman?
Yes, I think the tree lighting looked really good this year, having them lit up like that. I think expanding upon that, I think it needs to be like what Netflix did. That was almost like too busy, in my opinion. So, but good lighting on the trees, like in accentuating the buildings, using Legacy Trail, the train station, having it go up to the library maybe and come back, or thinking about in the future Gray Street as well, the new Gray Street, and maybe there's a Christmas or a holiday lighting loop that people drive down Main Street and they come back down Gray or something like that. So yeah, I think given our downtown and our area and the setup, I think we could do something a lot more than what we have historically done, for sure, that I think would absolutely attract people from this area to come drive down Main Street. Are we still using any of the decorations from like the 70s and 80s? There's one that I really like where it's like the guy kicking the football and it's a field. So, but some people I could understand may think that's outdated or the city's being cheap or whatever by.
So we had three of them there. We had the snowman, we had the drummer boy, and the field goal kicker. So we decided not to put those up. So they're over 30 years old. We've redone them several times. I've had to weld them back together, and a lot of the lights that are in there, not necessarily easy because they're the older type lights. To get them fully operating, a lot of times to find the light, we'd have to go back through there and pull all the lights and put all new lights in, because it's just the way if you had a dead light in those older lights, it cut the circuit and wouldn't work correctly. So they were very painstakingly. They started falling apart. The garland on it's faded and it's miscolored. So we decided that the time on those have probably expired long before now, and we haven't put them up. And we can ask for different things to put up on Legacy Trail, and I think that kind of goes along with it. I think it's advantageous for us to get community involvement, get hopefully the businesses to buy in, and they would like to see some things out there on Legacy Trail. This is exactly what Chickasha does on their lights. Businesses do pay for certain sections of it, and then they gift it to the city, and then the city takes them down, maintains them, and puts them back up every year.
Well, I would, definitely like to see us pursue something like that. And from our side, since we own the Sooner Theater and the Depot, doing what we can to enhance those perhaps during, with lighting stuff. And I wouldn't want to necessarily try to recreate what Chickasha or Yukon or anybody else. I don't want to be like a copy, or I could go to Yukon or Norman or any of these cities and see the same thing. So definitely shoot for something maybe somewhat unique for our area, but all for enhancing what we currently do, for sure.
And it's exactly what we thought too. So that's the reason we're thinking about putting them along the trail instead of having a car drive through. We'd have people walking down there, and worked great with Friday Night Art Walk, getting people out of their car, and hopefully, like I said, the big thing is if we want this to be an economic driver for downtown, we definitely don't want people in cars. We want people outside their cars.
Yeah.
Councilmember Grant?
I was going to say, with artists, you could connect with that community about interesting and unique displays, but I'm actually more focused on the budget. So how much are we spending on the contractor this year for those trees? What did that cost?
It's a good question. We gave him a not to exceed of $10,000, and he only got I think a dozen trees or something like that wrapped. So we don't think that he hit that max on that. But to the quote that he gave us to do the full Netflix lights to take down and put back up was about $25,000.
Is that what Netflix paid him?
I don't know.
Curious.
He's just giving me a price of what it would take to, and once again, that's putting in artificial trees, wrapping all those artificial trees up and down. Well, he actually bought real trees, but I think we would prefer to have something that, there year after year. But They put up different signs that represented Netflix movies and strung lights across the street. So don't necessarily, we didn't want him to go that far. That's the reason we kind of gave him a not to exceed of $10,000, and we don't think he got anywhere to. I think he ran out of time. It started raining.
So is that your ideal budget, 10K, or what is like this? What are you saying?
Well,
Like,
it depends on the community buy-in from the businesses. So if we start putting up a lot of things down, up and down Legacy Trail, I think it would be a lot more than $10,000 to have a contractor put them up and take them back down.
What is kind of the higher end of that, like 50K or 30K?
It's a good question.
25K?
I haven't really put that much into it, but probably between $25,000-$40,000 we would be looking at, and that would probably also some investment in some different decorations year after year.
So this is with us and the business community. That's what you're.
So if the
shooting-
businesses donated, it would depend on what kind of buy-in we got. So the more that got donated, the more we would need from contractors to take and put down the lights. And we also have to think about the storage of the lights too. We don't necessarily have enough room to, city-owned area to put those lights in.
But for that range, you think it's doable? Mm-hmm. Okay. And then, do you know how much other cities are spending? You said you were looking at different ones, but
I do not. I know that Yukon, for their drive-through in the park, they do buy their lights, and they actually went year after year and flew to different Christmas fairs in July and June over the summer, and in different states and bought lights and had them shipped back. But I don't know what the yearly budget was. It's something that we could definitely check into.
Mayor Heckler?
Two things that concern me with that is the power draw. It's not a heck of a lot, but did we notice anything? Have we, well, probably haven't even gotten a bill yet for December, but in the years before, have we noticed any kind of power thing? It's just a question, and if that makes a difference. It would appeal to me more if a business owned that display. They owned it, they took care of it, we put it out every year. Where we keep our maintenance costs down to zero. Finding light bulbs, I have to do that at the house, and it's infuriating. And so,
Me too.
yeah, exactly. And so as we go around and look at those things, if there's ways that we can not store, if there's ways that we can provide to them a list of different features that they could buy from a professional person, and then we do the wiring, make sure that we've got the wiring. Because I think all that along Legacy Trail is still wired, isn't it?
Yes. The Legacy Trail does need some electrical upgrades if we do this. It's didn't work so well this year. It took us, somebody hit it with a mower, and it kind of took a bunch of it out. Took us a while to get it back operating. Also, the yearly wear and tear of it, just being an outdoor box, is a lot of times it fries those outlets where they're not operational. So we would need.
How much you figure to get that 20,000?
It already
Oh, I don't think it'd be that much since we have our own electricians. So it'd probably be below 10,000 to get that completely upgraded and rewired.
Is that part of the Legacy Trail lighting replacement project?
No,
I don't know if those poles would have, they wouldn't probably, I guess.
the lighting's separate. The outlets are separate from the lighting.
We could look at combining those two projects.
When we first did that project, we wired like from Eufaula to
Yes.
past Mary.
A bunch of those outlets are not working currently.
Okay. Were you finished?
I am finished, thank you.
Okay, yeah, some of the questions that I wrote down were around kind of similar issues, the cost of energy, maintenance, upkeep, storage. Do we have appropriate storage for,
We'd have to rent some storage
These-
if we got a bunch of this, but of course, if we went with the mayor's suggestion, it'd be up to the business to store it.
Did we-
yeah, I
did
mean,
we
I was
keep our old
wondering.
ones? Did we keep those old ones, or did we,
We still have those, yes.
so might free up some
Auction
Free up
space?
some space.
And two, he made a comment about the lighting, so if we get LED lighting, that's a lot less power draw on those, and I think that we would probably focus in on.
They could
on
probably
that.
be solar if,
Yeah.
if somebody rigged that up correctly and not have to go off of the grid.
We could look into that.
So I was kind of thinking about something similar with our kind of a relationship with our business community on, like, yes, maybe we keep it, or it was the idea that I mean, the initial ID that you threw out was that they purchase whatever the light display is gonna be for their section, gift it to the city, and then we would maintain, put up, all of that kind of stuff. But yeah, my question was gonna be, is that a one-time donation and then they get to have their name listed next to the thing in perpetuity? Or is it a year over year, like there's an upfront cost, but then to help, I'm just thinking about
Yeah.
offsetting our cost as the sponsorship for the, it's not as a big of a lift the next year, but to, you know, have your name displayed next to, you know, your section, you're coming up with some of that maintenance, you know, cost or whatever, that could help facilitate the project year.
And to answer your question, so it'd be more likely a pretty decently large investment, so you're talking probably between, if you get a 100-foot section, it could cost you $5,000, $7,000. So as long as those lights were operable, I think we would put into the donation agreement that area would belong to the business. But once the lights become inoperable, or if the lights expire, if they can't work, then we need to either work with the business to get them maintained correctly, or we just move on from
Yeah, I
those
think that it
lights.
would be smart to have some kind of like agreement with the business that for this upfront cost,
Locked
you're
in.
you're getting this, and this is the amount of time. And I mean, what is the estimated life of a set of lights or a display? And I don't know what this like commercial level, like
House
I
is
what it
5
is, like
years.
yeah, a couple of years and then that's it. So I want to make sure that like we're being upfront about what that cost would be to our business community, how we want to play that. So I think that would all come in the language of agreements and all that. So, I think those are mostly my questions, just like how that would function moving year over year. Councilmember Grant.
Just to go back to other city spending and whatnot, didn't know they did middle of the summer conventions, but surely if they do that, they've done economic impact studies or have some kind of rate of return that they can show businesses for what these kinds of displays can do during that time.
Yeah, that's something that we usually work with Dan and Visit Norman with. If this is an attraction, tourist attraction, or just getting people out of the house to come to Main Street and check it out, then that's something that surely we can work with Visit Norman and see if they can have an economic impact factor, because they can work with Chickasha or Ardmore or Lawton or somebody like that that does this on their own and get information from these other cities.
Councilmember Hudson.
Yes, so I'd be definitely for replacing what we do currently, and then business community buy-in, adding on to perhaps what we already have, since we're not going to be using those old ones anymore. So that even if the business community didn't want to, for whatever reason, be involved, we'd still have, you know, a nice setup that the city would do. Maybe we don't spend $50,000, but I do like the idea of replacing what we have with some updated stuff, maybe
Sure.
that we can do, you know, around the depot or along maybe a section of Legacy Trail that we do or something. So I like that, and it's related to that lighting project on Legacy Trail. I don't know if it's too late in that process to maybe see what it would take to go ahead and replace the electrical. If we're redoing the lighting, might as well, you know, dig one trench, I guess, instead of coming back again in a few months.
So that the cable has been delayed, so the project has been delayed. So we've got some time maybe to adjust or change the project.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to see us maybe combine that and do them, update it all at once if we can. So yeah, I think it's good.
It could go all the way down to the stadium.
That's what we've talked about with like the James Garner and the, like even a permanent lighting installation, which is Councilor Peacock has talked about, you know,
And
going
we're doing all
down there.
new along with James Garner, so that's another
Yeah.
opportunity maybe in the future.
Absolutely. Okay, cool.
Any other comments, concerns? I have been thinking about holiday lighting and what we could do, not to kind of Councilmember Holman's point, not necessarily replicating what other cities do, but I do think that we have the capacity to do something nice, different, unique for what Norman looks like, and I do think that it is a draw to our community, to our businesses. So I do think that looking into investing in this, whatever the program looks like, whether it is a partnership with our business community, and I think we also can't lose sight of the fact that this can grow over time too. Like we can start small and then each year we add something new, which then also makes it another draw year over year. Like, oh, look, and what is the new lights this year? So I think that it's something that we as a community would see as a quality of life type initiative. So I think pursuing whatever this is going to look like should move forward. But thank you for the discussion. And if we have no other items, this meeting is adjourned.
All right.